Shall we start?
I'm
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our platform of Education Nest. I am Khushi Mishra, and, and today I'll be your host for this session Critical Thinking Mastery. Think smarter, decide better. In today's fast changing, information heavy world, we are constantly required to make decisions at work, in academics, and even in our daily lives. The quality of those decisions depends not on how much information we have, but on how well we think. This session is designed to help you understand what critical thinking really is, why it has become such an essential skill today, and how you can apply it practically, not just as a concept, but as a habit. I am pleased to introduce our trainer for today's session, Mr. Aman Kumar, who will be guiding us through key principles, practical tools, real life applications, and common barriers related to critical thinking. Hello, Aman. Thank you for joining Education Nest.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me today. And I'm really excited about this session and would try my level best to break down this critical thinking topic. And let's just start right away.
Same here, we are pleased to have you. So, before moving forward,
Sure.
I would like to give you all a brief introduction about Mr. Aman. Mr. Aman Kumar is a certified soft skills trainer, consultant, and performance coach with over 18 years of experience, including 14 years in training and development. He specializes in designing and delivering practical, result driven learning programs for corporates, colleges, and professionals. His expertise spans sales effectiveness, customer service, employee engagement, and employability skills, and he has trained and coached 5,000 plus students and professionals. Aman brings a unique blend of business plus understanding, NLP techniques, and mindfulness practices to help participants build skills, confidence, focus, and resilience. He has worked with leading organizations such as American Express, Hewlett Packard, and Dell, and is known for his interactive, engaging, and application oriented training style. We are excited to have you all here. Nauman, over to you. You can present.
Thank you so much, dear host. And let's start right away with the real thing, which is the critical thinking that we want to discuss today. Now, before I step into the session, I've been already introduced by our host, and she's informed everything about me. I just want all of you to know that I do this training thing by my heart. So it's not just a profession for me. I am a voracious reader. I like to research on a lot of topics and directly go ahead and train people on that. So today the topic is going to be critical thinking. Let me just share my screen. I hope it's visible.
It's visible. It's visible.
Can you confirm?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. All right. So the topic today that we have decided is critical thinking, and this one is very close to my heart because as a trainer, as a coach, I have to always keep my thinking hat on and keep thinking on what should I present, how should I train my trainees so that I get the best performance out of my training classes. Now, back 10 years or 15 years back, when this critical thinking was not really there in the picture, people never used to talk about it. This what did cross my mind even then, and I always used to relate it to the Bollywood critics. So we all know we have a critic in the Bollywood movies, and we always think that they are those people who always go ahead and say bad thing about the movie, and that is the thought that even I had. No, when I started reading the Bollywood movie reviews and started knowing more about the word critic, not the critical, but the critic word itself, then I realized that it was not only the bad things. There were actually a lot of good things that those critics were coming up with. For example, if you happen to read a Bollywood critic a review online for any movie, you'll find that they are not only talking about the entertainment part of it, they also talk about the direction, the sequencing of events. They talk about action, they talk about songs, they talk about scenes, they also talk about the kind of impact the songs and the total message of that movie has on the society as a whole. So that gives us a lot of information, that gives us a lot of evidences to the parents, to the normal viewers, on deciding whether they should really go ahead and watch that movie or not. So when we want to watch a movie, we don't want to just watch a movie for entertainment. We also know that a movie can actually have a lot of impact on our mind. So Bollywood critic is doing his or her job in letting us know why we should watch that movie by presenting facts, figures, and evidences about that movie. So, what is critical thinking? Again, to break it in simple language, critical thinking is nothing but thinking about a certain problem or a certain thing from all different angles with facts and figures, and narrowing it down to a solution to get an answer. Okay. Now, what you see in this picture is just a bulb, with a lot of waves coming out of it, and we also see this word complex word, and we're trying to master the art of clear logical decision making in this complex word. Like our host also just said, that this word is getting very complex. Somehow I also have this in my slide already. Why do we call it a complex word today? Because as soon as we wake up in the morning, we are bombarded with so much information. Probably there's something already going on in my mind from my yesterday's office uh, day, or maybe it could be some relationship issue going on in my mind, or it could be my phone buzzing just right next to my pillow with loads of information. So our mind is flooded with so much of information that it doesn't really give us that clear light that this bulb has in the picture. So what should we do to enable our mind to give us more clearer light in terms of our goals? How do we focus directly onto our goals with that light that we need? That is what we are going to learn in this critical thinking workshop. Now, to apprise you of this fact, let me tell you that the amount of information that our mind processes in these times is actually a lot of it. So if you were born in the year 1400, let's say if you were born in 1400, which is around probably what, 5 plus 8, around 1300, yes, 1300 years back, then the amount of information that you were absorbing in total 1 year, that same information you are absorbing in just 1 day now. So just imagine how much overloaded your mind already is with information, and how does that information or that amount of load that you have on your mind impacts your thinking process. So what should we do? How should we make sure that we do not get into that rat race, is what we're going to discuss again, right? So let's discuss about some core principles that can guide us in better thinking. Okay, the first thing that I mentioned here is clarity. Clarity for me is coming from openness. If I want to be a clear thinker, first I have to be an open thinker. Let's take an example of the worries or the issues that we have in our mind about AI taking our jobs, right? Don't we have that issue? We think a lot about AI taking humans' jobs, and there are two ways to look at it. Either I just accept it, or maybe I'm very positive about it. I can just be very positive about it and say, no, AI will take other people's job, but not my job. Could that be right? positive thinking, they say, is right. But what if I just have an open mind and I start analyzing the facts and the figures? I take out some data. I see what are the jobs that are actually being uh, affected by AI, and what is my job? What is my role in it? What is it that I can learn? If I have all those facts, figures ready, when I have an open mind, where I'm not, you know, believing on any belief system, that is when I get that clarity. So how do I get that clarity? By applying some logic. So what is logic? The logic is the facts that I need. And when I have logic, then I get the evidences. Right? So logic here is, let's say I give you an example. A is equal to B and B is equal to C. So you can imply that A is also equal to C. But what if I tell you that A, the data that is inside A is not correct? Then you don't know that even this data in C is also incorrect. You're only implying that A is equal to C. So once you have that data, that questioning mode in you, and you are able to figure out what exactly you are thinking by laying out evidences, and that's when you have an open mind, right? And then that's when you build a perspective and you're able to reflect on your decision. So clarity, as we just discussed, is precisely understanding issues deeply before forming any judgments. So you'll be able to have a clear mind only when you will be questioning all the belief systems. And then even when you have been given a logic, you question whether this logic is coherent. That means, is there a pattern? Is this coming from the right data or not? And then you can have an evidence. That evidence will be based on verifiable facts, data, and credible sources, and not only your assumptions. So in the coming slides, that we have on this presentation, I will also try to discuss a lot of examples using which you will be able to break down exactly how to critically think on different issues. Okay, how do we form perspectives? How do we also challenge those perspectives? Perspectives are those viewpoints and challenges that we get from our own biases. What is a bias? Bias is my preconceived notion, my previous thinking about a certain topic. Okay. Now, once I have everything ready in my mind, if I once I have everything penned down, maybe on a notepad, then am I able to also reflect and continuously evaluate that thought process? Maybe there is a possibility that I have gone ahead and critically thought about everything and gone ahead with a conclusion, which I have started working on also. Am I going ahead and reflecting back on that same logic, that same thought that I developed, and question my own belief after critically thinking so much? Yes, I can do that by reviewing my own results weekly, monthly, or on a quarterly basis. So, some essential skills that all the critical thinkers should have, starting with probing. So, because when I teach communication, we also talk a lot about probing. So there are basically two type of probing questions that we can ask. One is an open-ended question, and one is a close-ended question. So an open-ended question is a question where you get a lot of information, and a close-ended question gets an answer in just a yes or a no. So, what do you think? What kind of a probing question you should ask yourself, or to your team, or to the environment, or within that environment you want to ask yourself any probing question? Then, what kind of question that could be? That would only be an open-ended questions, because an open-ended question will give you those facts and figures and assumptions that you can have about what could be the next step. So you're challenging the surface level information by digging deeper into assumptions and implications. So, what are assumptions? Assumptions are like preconceived notions, and you are asking probing question. Why this? Why that? So, let's take an example. A simple example. Um, there is a person who is not healthy. Okay, the person who's not healthy and wants to get fit. So, the first question that we're going to ask is that why is that person not healthy? That person is not healthy because that person is not eating good food or not exercising enough. Now the second question that comes up is why is that person eating unhealthy, or why is that person not exercising enough? So the answers could be that person is lazy, and that person likes to eat fast food, Okay, let's break it down further. Why only have fast food? Maybe that person is living in that in an environment where he is not getting good food, or that healthy food, or maybe the healthy food that he is eating is not prepared in a tasty manner, or that person is lazy because that person has never ever exercised or played any sport in his previous past. What if we can introduce that person to different people who are active, healthy, and that person starts befriending them? That would definitely go ahead and improve his health. He will start looking at things differently now, right? When he will start experiencing the kick of endorphins and the positive hormones that get out of the exercise, that definitely he will then want to change. But till the time is not asking himself any questions, why am I like this, things are not going to change at all, right? You can actually apply these principles of critical thinking to any aspect of your life. What is the second thing? Identifying patterns and connections. So if I relate this second point to the same example that I just used about that person not being healthy, so that person has already identified or connected himself with a pattern. So he has developed a daily schedule where his pattern is to wake up late, to directly go into the kitchen and probably take that sweet right to the first thing in the morning, then probably spend a lot of time on the social media, then quickly pack bags and leave to office or college, depending upon his profession, and come back and again, you know just take that food and go back to sleep. That's the pattern that the person has. So because that person has not questioned that pattern, not questioned that connection that he has with that pattern, it just keeps simply going on and on for that person. So evaluating sources and evidence, that is also very important. um, Relating it to let's say a business standpoint, wherein let's say we feel that our team, which is not working well. Let's say we have a sales team, and our sales numbers are not really great, and we are in a team meeting situation where we are trying to evaluate why are the sales numbers not great. Okay, and then first of all, we do not have any data about it. We just have a client escalation. The client says the sales are not good, and in that meeting we are trying to figure out why. But if without any data, without any presentation on what are our sales numbers, which areas are we are not able to solve, which products we are not able to sell, we'll not be able to get to any conclusion, can we? So let's say if we do have some data and we find out that our sales number are not really great in a specific region, and that specific region is, let's say, X region of Western India. Okay, and then we break it down further and we see that that particular area, there was not enough training done for the employees. Those sales executives are not actually trained on the product, neither do they have enough soft skills. And somehow we break it down and we narrow it down to that reason. Because of that specific region giving us a hit, our overall sales numbers are not looking great. And if we can just go ahead and fix that issue, that training issue on that specific region, then we're actually back at our good our numbers. Because that specific area is the number from where we actually can get a lot of customers, because our product that we have designed is designed specifically for that area, and we have not invested in training our employees on that area, right? Then that is the reason conclusion. So in the end, when we ask ourselves so many questions, when we identify the patterns, the connections, and when we have some sources and evidences, then we are able to go ahead and draw reasoned conclusion onto what our next decision could be. What is our next correcting step uh, for getting our sales number up, or maybe getting our health right on the track. Okay, I'll try to use more real life examples to make sure that we can relate it to our personal lives. And here we see this term called Socratic questioning, and it's coming from the Greek philosopher Socrates. We all know. So he talked about questioning every belief system by asking questions. Uh, questioning the economic system of the country, questioning the spiritual beliefs by asking ourselves, what do we already know? All right, what evidence supports this? What could be some alternative views, and what are the implications? Let's say I'm a confused person. I don't know whether I should be an atheist or I should believe in God. What to do, it's all starts with with the confusion, right? Human mind, when we were children, we had no idea about, what to believe, what not to believe. We just followed instructions, we just followed belief systems. But let's say I'm a seeker and I'm trying to know God. I can probably first ask myself, what do I first already know about God? Who is God? And why do even I need God? Okay, if I break it down and I see, I also see the surroundings and I see, okay, there are people who go to temples, there are people who go to mosque, there are people who have different belief systems, and they talk about in existence of God. So I ask myself, what evidence? What is the evidence? So they talk about creation. They talk about, yes, if there is a creation, then there has to be a creator. Okay, if there has to be a creator, then why? Then who created the creator? Right? Isn't that a quick question? So the question will keep coming up and coming up and coming up. Maybe I can still narrow it down and say, what are some alternate views? What are the other people thinking about the existence of God? So I'll read, go through a lot of literature, and I also see a group of people who say that there is an energy which is coming from the Big Bang. They relate to the scientific theory of Big Bang, and they say it all started with that Big Bang, and that energy, which is always prevalent in the universe, that is also a form of God. And maybe that is a thought that will satisfy me, to have a belief system of my own on what should I think about God, because probably I don't want to believe on that idol, or maybe I do. Maybe, when I talk to my parents about it, and they tell me, no, we need an idol because we do not have uh, any kind of medium to worship him. So that is why we have an idol. So now I have an answer. What are the implications of it? The implication is that I get a relationship built with God through that idol, or maybe that with that belief system that I developed after all this questioning, that yes, that energy is God. And now I'm a satisfied person in terms of my questioning. My belief system is ready, and then now I can move ahead with my logic that I developed through that belief system. My questions are answered. I'm a happy person, and I move ahead. Another technique on how to improve your critical thinking is the 5 5 technique, and I love this one. What I love this one about this one is because it actually gets applied into lot of everyday troubles, everyday issues that we have in corporates, even in even while we are studying. It says, you drill down to the root cause by asking why 5 times in successions. Now, most of the times when you start asking those why 5 times in succession, you won't really have to ask it 5 times. You probably would get the answer maybe the fourth time or the fifth time itself, maybe sometimes the third time. But it's just that you ask those questions, right? And you reveal the underlying issues, on the when you ask those questions. Right. We will definitely take an example on that one too, and try to ask that question. Now, once we have done the Socratic questioning, when we've used the 5 5 technique, what do? We form a decision. Okay, this is our decision. This is our final decision. But do we go ahead and make that final? No. We develop a decision matrix. So probably what we do is we will develop a system that we designed out of our questioning, and then what we do is we monitor the progress of that decision by probably rating that decision metrics every week, every month, every quarter. And then later on, we do that same technique again to make sure that we go ahead and change that decision if required. That is what decision matrices is all about. All right. Now, let me just give you a quick example from my executive days. Once I was used to work in a company where we had to talk to the customers on a daily basis, and we were investing a lot of time in sending emails to those customers once we talk to them. Now, always had that why in my mind. Why is it that we have to invest so much time in sending these emails to the customer? Why is it that this company, which is such a big company, does not have an automated system for this? Now, this process was live from the last 5 to 6 years actually, and but I kept asking that question to myself. I didn't go to anyone to get an answer, but I kept asking that question. Then I later realized, probably because this is a back end operations team, maybe the company does not want to invest in developing an automated system to send those emails and reduce our work. I just asked more questions to myself. How much time is every person investing in writing those emails? I got to an answer. The answer was that around 5 minutes per email per case. And if everyone is sending 20 emails a day, it's like 100 minutes every person is spending, and it's a team of 50 members. So it's more than like thousands of hours actually, if you count in months, that team was spending just in sending those emails. No, I thought, there has to be a fix to it. And although I'm not from a very technical background, I knew that there were some technical people in my team. So I walked up to one of them and I said, "Can you do something about it? Is there maybe a macro system? Maybe you can probably link the Outlook system to the Excel, where we already have the customer's data, and get this thing automated for us?" Yeah, and she said yes. That the person was an engineer. So, and then I walked up to my manager. After doing all my research and development, and taking that issue, my manager was really happy to see that idea that I had after all that critical thinking I did. So we took that person off calls for around a week. That person developed that macro, and what we got was a specific system which was used for a number of years after it was made, and it made life easy for so many people. So that is what critical thinking can do for you. Now, although I'm not technically trained, but I can actually train my brain to ask so many questions to get to a solution where maybe I can ease out problems for a lot of people in my team, right? And as a trainer, we do that on a daily basis. Right, and that is what is exciting. See, when you're working in a corporate setting, when you're working maybe in a college setup, in a government office, what gives you that kick is not always that pay package. What also gives you that kick is the kick about working is how many real life problems are you actually able to solve. All right. So another example. So that was one was very close to my heart, and I give that example to a lot of my trainees in my trainings. But this one is a very practical example for the car lovers, and this is how it goes. So the problem is simple problem: a battery problem comes up in your car, and you're trying to find out why. What is the root cause? RC, I'm sure a lot of corporate people, if you're on this call right now, they know they've already uh, encountered this term RC, and you want to prepare your RC is better. This is the best technique. So let's say this is a simple RC of why my car won't stop. Okay, my car won't stop because there's a red battery signal on my a meter, and it says that there's a problem with the battery. So the car won't start because the battery is dead. Now, second question is, anyone? Simple. Why is the battery dead? Okay, because the alternator isn't charging it. So alternator is the device which charges it through the dynamo, which is attached to the wheels of the car, and it automatically gets charged. So that we know. So, but why is it not charging it? Okay, maybe the belt is broken. Okay, but why is the belt broken? The belt was old and not replaced during maintenance. That's the root cause. Okay, okay. Let's take another example. Okay, you are let's say let me go to the next slide because you'll be looking at this slide and be getting confused. But let it be blank. I'm just giving you another example to understand how to break it down. Let's say you're in a college, maybe a student, like a student leader of an organizing committee of a party that you need to organize, or maybe you're an HR person trying to organize an event in your office, and you have to make sure that there are like probably 100 or 200 people who have to assemble for that event. Unfortunately, people don't turn up. People don't turn up on the day. Okay, and next day, your manager or your principal calls you in the office and says, why is it that people didn't turn up? Then there's an again five whys you can ask yourself. First of all, people didn't turn up because uh, they were not informed. Okay, they were not informed. That is the first thing that you get as an answer. Second question is, why were they not informed? Okay, they were not informed because the people who were supposed to inform them did not create any pamphlets or did not create any digital media ads, did not roll it on the office website or the teams chat or the college website to make sure that people are aware of it. Now the second question would be, why did they not make those pamphlets or those flyers? And then you get to another answer, that because they were not even trained on it. They were not trained on how to create a flyer. How will they do it? Right. So the root cause was that we need to go ahead and train people on creating ads. That is it. If that was done, then that event would have been a complete success, right? So this is how we need critical thinking in our workplace, for problem solving, for leadership excellence, for project decisions. So, in a problem solving scenario, we need to identify the root causes. Why are the customers not buying from us? Why are the customers not happy? Why are the customers coming up with so many escalations? Why is it that only one specific issue is coming up again and again? Why? So, you ask those questions, you uh, get those underlying issues, and you move ahead. Right? When you are a leader, when you want to make sure that you need to go ahead and make your team work towards a specific target, what do? You make informed decisions under pressure, you communicate rational clearly, and you inspire teams through transparent logical thinking. You take project decisions, you evaluate risk, allocate resources strategically, and have plans based on evidence and changing circumstances. So you do not have to completely go ahead and always follow the old patterns. You can always question them. But always, please feel free to do that. And trust me, you will get amazing results. Okay, and now what are the real life word applications of critical thinking beyond our work? Education and learning. So, there have been a lot of talks about our education system, our government trying to make so many changes, which are some of them are good, some of them are really slow. But what do we actually do? When we are children, how are we made to learn? We are just made to memorize facts mostly. We are made to just go ahead and uh, memorize something during the course of our semester and then write them in the exam. And if you're able to do that, we just go ahead and score marks and we are considered to be good students. But what happens after 1 or 2 months? We don't even remember what we learned. Is it not true? But if you're able to ask questions, if you use that Socrative technique, if you're able to go ahead and ask so many questions, so those five whys to yourself, you go ahead and become critical thinker, wherein you do not need to now memorize things. Daily life decisions, evaluating news, financial choices, digital literacy. So I'm going to break down the daily life decisions because that's where we get stuck most of the times. I think we should have a little more discussion about decisions, right? So these days, more than you go to your news channel, you first go to your WhatsApp media, and there you get a lot of news. Okay. Now I always have this habit of going ahead and checking a news which looks really strange. It's coming in my family group or maybe some other society group, and people are discussing about it. I always have that habit to just make sure that I do verify and do a fact check on that news. And most of the times, I realize that this is a fake news, or maybe it happened 3 years back, and people are still discussing about it. Now, why people do it? Because people have a lot of time. But should I go ahead and create my bias or my decision based on that news? Absolutely not, because that will go ahead and act as an information in my mind, and I will also act according to that news. So it's always good to go ahead and verify sources before you share that information. Do not share that information without doing a fact check. Right? Financial choices. Because my friend is started to invest in the share market. What should I do? I should also just open an account. He will help me open an account. He will tell me all the companies to buy, and I will invest those companies. Now the second thing, I see all those shares coming down, I'll go back to that person and I'll say, hey, you know what, because of you I lost this much money. Now who is at fault, that person or me? Obviously me. Right, so let's not make any financial choices or decisions based on the hue and cry people make in the market about insurance, about stock market. But yes, I do have that independence of asking myself, okay, stock market, okay, banks, okay, loans, okay, insurance. Why should I not go ahead and do my own research, right? In today's world, when you have AI, you have ChatGPT, you have Google, which has been there since ages, and it's the advanced version is the ChatGPT and the Copilot. Why can't I go and ask that software about more knowledge about the subject? Then probably not directly invest, but do that decision metrics. Maybe develop my own plan, check my own vulnerability. Okay, how much money do I actually have to make those financial choices? Why should I believe in every ad that I see on Instagram? So many financial influencers, some of them are telling me, okay, you should buy this. Somebody's telling me, no, you should buy land. Somebody's telling me, no, 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 Aman, you should not buy land. You should only have your funds in the liquid form. So you invest only in the stock market. Why? Why can't I myself make that decision? Okay, so if I look in the market, if I see that there are people who are getting a lot of profit in their decisions when they're buying lands. There are people who are doing good in stock market also. What's going to be good for me? How much time do I have? Okay, let's say I'm a working professional and I've worked 9 to 6, and then I also sometimes work after office and sometimes on a Saturday. Would I really have that much time to go ahead and do all my research about the stocks? If not, then why can't I go ahead with simply with mutual funds? They're also giving me 10 to 15% return, aren't they? So why should I make my life so complicated? Okay, so now everybody has a car, okay, but my office is just a kilometer away. So do I really need to have a car? Okay, how many times? Okay, let me just think. How many times do I take my family for a let's say travel, okay, for a vacation, maybe once in 3 months, where we actually go ahead with the complete family, and we want to enjoy that long travel. We want to enjoy the new place. Probably if I just go ahead and rent a car on for those 2 3 days or 4 days and just walk or cycle to my office, don't you think I'll be even much better? I'll be improving on my health also. So we actually make a lot of decisions by uh, creating bias. I see a lot of people buying cars and they don't even use it. They only take it to the mechanic for service. A lot of them in my neighborhood. Okay, but just because they just want to have a car. I'm not saying you should not buy a car. If you've got money, please go ahead and buy a car. Okay, that's not the point here. But the point is, my financial decision. It's my choice. Digital literacy, navigating online spaces safely and recognizing misinformation or manipulation. Right? Manipulation. I've written that word 2 times. Why? Because we've been manipulated so many times by digital media. Right? We need to ask ourselves those questions on what to believe, what not to believe. Everything that seems good for me is not actually good for me. Right? Barriers. Okay, this one is very important. Why is it that there are so many barriers to critical thinking? Cognitive biases, emotional reasoning, group thinking, and information overload. What is cognitive? Let's break this word cognitive and try to understand what is the meaning of the word cognitive. It's a term coming from cognitive psychology, which means understanding. Okay, what is my understanding? So there are two types of belief systems in psychology. One is the imperialism and one is cognitive. I'll not get too technical about it, but imperialism is a science which says that our behavior depends upon only our experiences. But cognitive believers, they say it depends upon our understanding, our thoughts. So it's basically to do with our thoughts, and our thoughts always have a pattern. They get anchored. Okay, our mind will always try to think uh, in a very simple way, not try to get too technical about information. Whatever is easy to understand, it will take it. Emotional reasoning. Okay, I want to go ahead and buy that car because my neighbor has it. Okay, as a lady, I want to buy that sari too. Maybe I have 15 already, but I want to buy that also because it's a new thing that I really want to have because this it's coming from my mind. Okay, group thinking, when we, let's say, in a group discussion, maybe in a family setup, or we are in a group discussion in a office setup, we try to always be very pleasing towards people, and that actually stops us from questioning beliefs, right? Because that person said that, and that person is, I don't want to be opposing that person, so I'll believe what that person is saying, and I'll stop that idea coming to my mind. Also, information overload that we already discussed. Too much information, too much scrolling social media, our brain gets up, the neurons get so weak, they're not able to think critically. They're not able to think from all directions because a lot of overburdening of information we have already done. So we should stop that. I'll talk a little more about cognitive bias because the other terms are pretty easy to understand. So we are approaching the end of our presentation. I hope you guys are liking it. Please drop in some comments and questions in case if you have, and I'll be happy to answer them. But let's break the meaning of the cognitive biases a little more. Okay, so what is cognitive bias? It's systematic thinking errors that shape how we interpret information and make decisions. So we only see what we want to see. So the first one is the confirmation bias. Once I have one information, I will always make all the other decisions based on only on that information. Okay, so I know that somebody is lazy because somebody told me that person is lazy, and I always have made sure that that person is considered as lazy in my view always. But I'm not even looking at his data. I'm not even looking at his results. That's called confirmation bias. Anchoring bias. A lot of companies, marketing houses, they make a lot of use of this anchoring bias. What does it? How does it help them? So they will inflate the price of a product, and they will tell you it is not 7,000, it is 10,000, and but it's actually even 7,000 is expensive, but you don't know it. You think, okay, 7,000 is going to be very cheap for me, okay, because the earlier price, which was 10,000, has been reduced. But you don't know that 7,000 is still expensive for you. Availability heuristic. So it's a shortcut. It means shortcut, availability shortcut. Whatever idea first comes to my mind, I believe that. Okay. For example, in recent news about plane crashes making flying feel unsafe. So it just happened, unfortunately, that big incidents. Even that person who's the brother of that, the other person who died, the only person who was the survivor, even he himself didn't want to travel in the planes again. And that happens. Frankly speaking, even I was pretty scared of plane travels, when that news came in. So that also happens. But that's not always true. The fact is that, your chances of getting involved in a plane accidents are way lower than your chances of getting caught in a road accident, and that we all know. How first impressions deceive us. The halo effect. What is a halo effect? One positive trait, you assume everything is good with that person. So you see a person who is well dressed, you see everything is going to be good with that person. So we say the first impression is the best impression. That phrase explains that halo effect to its perfection. Second is the horn effect. What is the horn effect? It's just the opposite of it. One negative trait, you think everything is negative with that person. Single rude comment makes you think that person is always rude. And because this is true, so we should also always watch out. We should not uh, we should not have a complete judgment due to the halo effect, and we should not also have any horn effect, making sure that we do not categorize people just because of their one behavior. Then overconfidence bias. Overconfidence bias is AI will not take my job. Why? Because my job is can never be done by AI. That's going to be overconfidence bias. Here, there, if I have a little bit of fear in my mind, okay, yes, AI can actually go and take my job. Then because of that fear, I'll start probably working on myself, my AI knowledge. Recency bias. 2 cold days at month's end, the whole month was freezing. That is also something that we do. So, power of inertia, social pressure, status quo. I'm buying that car because my neighbor has it. We have always done this way. Let's do it again. It will always be successful. But if we always keep repeating, what other people do or what we've been doing before, we're not going to get better results. Social proof, herd mentality. Let's invest in crypto because everyone else is doing it. But which crypto? Why crypto? Why not Indian market? We don't ask that. Sunk cost fallacy. What is it? Continuing due to past investment, ignoring future value. And this also happens in stock market. So I'm giving you a lot of examples from the stock market. I hope you're able to relate to it. A lot of times I see people, what they do, they invest in a company and they see, okay, this company, the stocks are going down, but they don't really exit them. Don't really exit stock because they completely clinged to that company. They're not questioning, they're not even checking the data, what's actually happening inside the company, and not exiting their position and facing losses. Staying in a failing project because you already spent that time just, feeling or believing that the times will change and you will get your desired results. So, the last, we've given you the problem. Let's also discuss on strategies on how to actually overcome these mental barriers. The the best thing is pause and reflect. If you're not getting a solution to a problem, why do you need a solution to that problem right now? Okay, there is a very famous English saying. I don't know whether you guys know it or not. It says, whenever you want to go ahead and make a decision, or you want to buy something, say, "I'll sleep over it." What is the meaning of the word I'll sleep over it? So I'll not buy today. I'll buy it tomorrow. I'll not take this decision today. I'll take it tomorrow. Probably something will happen in that time, which will actually tell me whether I should make that purchase, make that decision or not. So create a space, pause, breathe. Even while in a conversation, when you're in a conversation with somebody in a group setting, and a lot of thinking is going on, just notice your breath. Just become calm. Notice how your breath is moving. That will enable you to pause and reflect. Seek diverse views. Ask people, ask your neighbors, ask your colleagues, ask your children. They can also help you at times. If you're children yourself, ask your parent. And then challenge your own assumptions by actively engaging with them. Then using a structured process. Now that you've understood what critical thinking is, you know what works for you. You can apply that framework and have a checklist and do a check before reaching to a conclusion on any decision. I think we're almost done it, right? We've come close this presentation, and this is the final slide, which talks about questioning one assumption daily, reading from diverse sources, reflecting on decisions, practicing active listening, to sharpen your thinking skills, critical thinking skills. And always remember, critical thinking isn't a destination, it's a daily practice. It's a habit that you will actually go ahead and inculcate, and your life will change. Trust me. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you liked it.
Thank you so much, Aman, for sharing your valuable insights with us. Now, I think we should
Sure.
take up the questions.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I'm excited to take up the
Okay, so
questions.
everyone, we are now open to the questions. You can post your questions in the live chat. Aman, you can now stop sharing your screen.
Sure, okay. Stop sharing the screen.
Okay, so our first question is, how can we identify our own cognitive biases in real time?
How can we identify our own? That's a very good question. I really like that question. So, see, what I basically do myself is I always maintain a journal, if not daily, but weekly. So always go ahead and write down my decisions. And if you want to identify your pattern, write down decision of a situation that you had to make just recently, and then you question that decision yourself.
Yeah.
then if you follow that 5 5 technique, you'll be able to question on the decision, then break it down to the point and reach that statement on why you made that decision. And if
Right.
you see a pattern there, and if you then the pattern is not right, please change that pattern.
Okay.
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so our next question is, how do we avoid groupthink in high pressure corporate teams?
So group thinking, I don't know how did you understand that, but when we talked about group thinking was actually thinking along with the group, making sure that your points are being heard. If you think you're not able to put your point across because you probably respect that person, you do not want to go ahead and oppose that person because that person is your friend, always get into that meeting with a or that discuss or that discussion, uh, forgetting of your relationship. Do not value that relationship over there, and trust me, that will not break that relationship. Once you come out of the meeting room, and once you see that because of your input, uh, your team actually went ahead and got the right decision, even that person will acknowledge that fact, and you will still remain friends, right? When I teach groups discussion, just a little more time I'll take there. When I teach group discussion to my trainees, I always tell them that even if you choose to go ahead and say that yes, I was wrong, you can say that okay, I was wrong, but I have gotten enlightened with the point that you have come up with, and yes, that's taking our team to the right decision. So both the parties should have that kind of approach.
Okay. Okay, so our
Yeah.
next question is, can critical thinking work in client negotiations and stakeholder management?
And critical thinking, absolutely, why not? It will always work. So critical thinking will definitely go ahead and give you answers on why the client is being apprehensive, if he is being apprehensive on buying a product. If your stakeholder is not doesn't look really happy with your decisions, you can either ask, have that discussion with the stakeholder, but before you ask that question to the stakeholder, you can have a team meeting, within your team, and behave like a stakeholder.
Yeah.
So get into that second person mode. So you can have a role play. Okay, what are the questions the stakeholders can ask, or what are the apprehensions the stakeholders can have? So again, the
Yes.
why, what, who, if you ask all these questions, you will go there in those meetings better prepared, and
Yes.
you will have all the answers to your stakeholders and the clients.
Yes. Okay. So moving on, how do KPIs, key performance indicators, and targets influence thinking quality?
So when we were doing those slides, we talked about evidences, we talked about data. So KPIs, which is the key performance indicators, they give us a complete insight on the data, or the numbers of our team's performance or an individual performance. So let's say I am an auditor, and my KPI tells me that I have audited 100 cases, and out of the 100 cases, I was able to audit all the cases in a satisfactory manner. And when a re-audit was done, it was identified that it was my bias that those cases were audited, but the senior auditor found out that 20% of those cases were actually a mess. So I know that 20% of the cases I am not auditing well. So now if I do critical thinking about it, and I see narrow down to the information on what are the pointers that I'm missing on, then probably the next time that 20% will number will decrease to 10%. Maybe the next time it will decrease to 5%, because I would know that those 20% cases were not audited correctly by me because of XYZ reasons, and I start working on those reasons. So yes, it's very important to have a KPI meeting done. Also, have those facts and figures, in your head, in your brain. Always, you should remember them. So that you know where actually you're heading.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so our next question is, will you say every industry requires critical thinking or some particular ones?
So I will not say that only every industry requires critical thinking. critical thinking. Yes, absolutely. Every industry requires critical thinking. I would also say that every individual, every relationship, every family requires critical thinking for it to, work in a better way.
Okay, so I want to ask one question. How do you
Yeah.
incorporate critical thinking in your daily life?
Huh. So okay, if I tell you about myself, I'm a trainer, and I with apart from being a trainer, I'm also, I will not call myself a fitness freak, but I'm a fitness enthusiast. So I always critically think on what kind of exercises I should do, what kind of exercises that I'm doing, what are the results of it, am I getting my desired results. I keep a track of it. I keep asking those questions. I keep jotting them down, and I change when I feel, when I feel that, this is not working for me. I change. For me, I change. Then it also helps me in my profession. Where, every after every training batch, I always take a feedback from my trainees. Apart from my client, I ask them to even send me emails if they have some constructive feedback for me, and. If they're not telling me, I'll speak with them verbally on one to one. That gives me those workable areas for myself, and I work on them, and I see that the next batch, the next training session, is even better. That's how I work.
No, that definitely helps. Okay, so our last question, Aman. We have a question from a viewer that is there any
Okay.
incident you would like to share related to critical thinking sessions?
um Related to critical thinking sessions. Okay. So, what we do a lot of experiential learning sessions. So we ask our trainees to go ahead and do real life case studies where they have to critically think and reach to a conclusion. So it does happen. When I go to remote areas, also, sometimes there I see that those people, those trainees are not actually able to think critically and reach to the solutions which the people in the metro cities are. So that also gives me this belief that yes, uh, a lot of reading, a lot of environment actually affects your critical thinking. So the sessions which I'm taking in cities, in metro areas, those critical thinking sessions, people are coming up with solutions, and in those remote areas, because they're not able to critically think, they don't have that environment, they don't come up with those kind of solutions. So that's just one experience. No specific one incident that I can share, but just it's my overall experience with critical thinking sessions that I take.
Okay. Okay, so one more question coming now. Let's just take it before
Hmm.
closing. How do we
Sure.
differ between facts and opinions at work?
How do we differ? Okay, so what happens at work situation, right? Most of the times, most of the opinions that people have don't actually matter. They don't matter in your appraisals. They do matter on what people probably think about you. They do not at all matter in meetings, because what matters is the results. So let's say people have opinionated somebody as a non-performer, but just because that person likes to be aloof and does not have a lot of friends within the office, but that person is a decent performer. So I'm sure every company does a weekly or a monthly KPI session, and when they go ahead in that meeting, every person is present there, and once the numbers are good for that specific person, all the opinions also change because the numbers are good. That person is diligently working, getting the results. What happens is facts will change opinions. Opinions will never change facts. So it's always good to believe in who you are and not even care about opinions, because ultimately, if your facts are right, if you have logic, if your logic is right, you will always achieve the desired results, and people will start following you, and they will actually now start working on your opinions, following your opinions. Your facts will become their opinions. I hope I answered that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining today's session and for your active participation. We hope The insights and tools shared today will help you to think more clearly and make better decisions in your professional and personal life. A special thank you to Aman Kumar for an engaging and insightful session. Aman, is there anything you would
My
like to
pleasure.
say?
No, it was such a great experience for me, and I hope all those insights that I gave will actually be beneficial for all those viewers, and we'll connect again very soon. Thank you so much. We have a
Yeah,
lovely time ahead.
we will definitely. Okay, we truly appreciate
Yeah.
your time and involvement. And okay, so we will meet in our next webinar. Till then, do like, share, comment at this webinar. And if there is any question or any suggestion about any webinar, you can definitely connect to us. Okay, so till then, take care. Bye bye. Bye, Aman. Thank you for
Bye
connecting.
bye. Bye bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye bye.